then a 3, 2, 1. Here we go. What is okay? Sorry, I was looking at our soundboard that we have, and I do have the question one up there. We need something for challenges. We can do all kinds of audio cues.
You could do like a new challenger from Smash Brothers.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's a fantastic idea. Should I take the time to do that?
If you want.
Oh man. Okay.
If you want.
Let me see if I can find that somewhere. Okay, does no one... That's right, it's just a sound. It's just like a siren. It's not a...
I thought it says a new challenger. Or
That's
maybe
what
that's
I
like
thought
Street
too.
Fighter. Hold on.
Maybe it is.
Hold on.
Going through YouTube here. Just this. It is. Yep.
It's Street Fighter?
Okay. Yeah. So, give me just a second. This is wonderful. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to keep this because this doesn't make any sense. To keep.
What?
Just like all these like half sentences that I'm not, because it's recording right now. That's what I mean. I don't even know. As I'm like trying to just.
This is how the sausage gets made, boys.
Right, exactly. Wonderful. Just be careful. Don't click on any pop-ups. Even that, why not? Okay, getting closer. Let's see if this actually works. We go into...
Ooh, Dad Saves America is a good... I'm going to co-sign on that Dad Saves America.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying... There was another one he did recently that dropped the other day that I watched, and I was like, yeah, I like you.
I was listening to Last Stand Media, the whole Sacred Symbols Network thing.
Mm-hmm.
They did a politics episode. They've done two. They have a conversational podcast called Constellation now.
Okay.
And they've done two political episodes. And Colin is definitely like right leaning. And there's definitely some language, but it's an interesting talk because like, so his co-host, and then he has David Jaffe, who is the creator of the original God of War series. And they are very left. And he has Gene Park from the Washington Post. And Gene is, I would call Gene a moderate because like Gene punches left and right. Okay. Gene actually is in the network.
A part of? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That
Gene
was my question. Okay.
Does a lot of podcasting with him. He's a regular on, he's one of the regulars on their Punching Up, which is their Nintendo podcast, which is bi-weekly. He just like, he sort of like exists in the circuit. Like, he's great, dude. He's so great. Like,
well, you and Parker, I want to say, have both mentioned him.
Landry
okay.
Did.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It was Landry. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know multiple people have referenced him. I didn't know that he was
there's definitely some language, and he's a total degenerate. Sure. Like, he's got some like stories that I'm just like, what the bro. But he is a really interesting dude, and I like him a lot. Like, I like his and it's like he kind of gets to like cut loose and be a little wild on the Last Stand Media podcast too. But like, I don't listen to Punching Up so much because I kind of like, I'm not a Nintendo diehard. Sometimes they'll have something interesting on. The only shows that I listen to almost every episode is Sacred Symbols and Summon Sign. And so Brad Ellis is the host of Summon Sign, but Gene does show up on that one a good bit.
Okay.
But yeah, Gene's like, he's part of the Last Stand Media family.
Cool.
Kind of like he's a regular, and he shows up on a lot of different stuff. So I like Gene. He's kind of out of pocket, but I still like him. But
Okay.
like on the political episode, it was really interesting because like he just like he punches both ways, and I think that's he's like, and he's like basically like he's like, I live in DC. I know a lot of these people, and they suck. Like,
Gotcha. Yeah.
he is personal friends with Tulsi Gabbard because they both lived in Hawaii for a while, and
Okay.
like Tulsi is like kind of like his homegirl. They hang
Mm-hmm.
out. They've hung out from time to time. Um, so yeah, Gene's a really like I like this is what I would say. It's like I think Last Stand Media is like Sacred Symbols. I think is like arguably one of the best news podcasts, especially if you're looking for PlayStation centric news. Punching Up is okay. It tends to be a little more conversational,
Mm-hmm.
but it is Nintendo oriented. But like Sacred Symbols and Summon Sign are like they're like Brad Ellis is so good at just like having people like talk about what they're playing, and like he just asks really good questions. He
Okay.
knows, like he's a really good host.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then Constellation will occasionally have something, but it's like the two I listen to with like almost every episode is Summon Sign and Sacred Symbol. Everything else, it's kind of like, is there something interesting? Like, are you guys talking about something that I care about? If not, deuces. Like, because I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
need to listen to all this stuff.
Gotcha. It's a lot of content.
It is. Yeah, there you
I
go.
think that'll work. I like it.
Do you like that?
I do, indeed.
You like it? What's up, bro? Chachos.
Yeah. How you doing? It's been
How you guys doing?
a week.
It's been about a week.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, this is totally my fault. Yeah, I guess this is a good thing to talk about, pre-show. Is this is totally my fault. I've got so I mentioned that my wife's cousin has been in town. It is Tuesday night, so she was here. Actually, she was supposed to get here last Wednesday, and it was supposed to go till Monday. But because of all the cloud strike stuff, her layover got pushed back, and she had to stay the night in Atlanta. Excuse me, which is a whole ordeal. And so it ended up being Thursday through Tuesday. So we took her back this afternoon to the airport.
I'm going to fly out on this Thursday.
Yeah, where are you going?
Raleigh.
Is
that North or South Carolina?
Raleigh? That's North.
Parker. It's
Sweet.
It's going to be his 40th birthday this weekend.
Nice.
So
okay.
Wait, did you say it's
awesome.
your anniversary?
Yes, on the 9th.
On the 9th? Ours
of
is
August.
the 3rd, and actually Parker's birthday is the 3rd.
Okay, sweet.
And so
Saturday.
It's one of those things where it was supposed to be a surprise, but Parker ruined it. Because
I remember you mentioned that.
He was asking too many questions, but Lillian was going to fly all of us out. But we decided not to test the waters with Byron.
Gotcha.
He's an okay traveler, but we were like, So it's just going to be me. Heading out there for his 40th. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool.
Nice.
So,
dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm relatively stoked. I think it's going to be a good time. So yeah, it's I am flying though, and it's like and Megan and I were talking about it. I was like, this is the first time I've flown as an adult where I mean, so I flew fairly frequently with the Army. Like,
right. Yeah.
They would fly us into different places for like different training and stuff like that. I don't like flying.
Okay.
I am not a fan of heights. I'm mildly acrophobic, and maybe that sounds dumb, but it's like I don't like freak out and like freeze up or anything, but I don't like heights. I'm very uncomfortable with them. And it's like when I am up past a certain threshold, Like all I can think about is like, dude, like I can't go up in like tall buildings because all I can
Okay.
think about is like if the building, like it's a really unreasonable thing, right? Like, but I went up to the top of the Empire State Building,
Okay.
like
Okay.
in
Yeah.
junior high or whatever, and I
Yeah.
just like the whole time I was like, I went out and looked at it, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm good, and just like waited by the
We're done.
elevators until we went back down, because
Gotcha.
I was just like, dude, the whole time I'm like, what if you fell off? Like, what if the building collapsed? And
Hmm.
are these reasonable things? No, not at all.
Hmm.
But it's what's in my head the entire time.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. It does sound like it's something that, like, well, I was gonna say some sort of like technical term here, exposure therapy. Just like being exposed to it for a good amount of time would help. But I guess if you've flown a good amount already, it
I'm just
doesn't.
like, I mean, I am uncomfortable the entire
Yeah.
time. That's
Gotcha.
it.
Gotcha.
Like, it's like,
Okay. I just have to ask, your plane that you're on, it's not a Boeing, is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
flying
Well.
through Breeze, which is like a sort of it's a newer sort of startup. Um,
Okay.
and it's like budget flights,
Yeah.
but it's
For
like
sure.
it's like weird. They don't do flights every day. They only do them like
Okay.
different points. And so it's like I'm catching the flight Thursday
Hmm.
and then coming back on Sunday. So,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
There's
it's like,
there are flights from here to Austin through Allegiant that are like that. They fly out on Thursdays and Sundays.
yeah,
That's cool.
it's like I'm flying out. It's like I think it was like $200 both ways
Sweet.
for,
Yeah.
for round trip,
That's
and I
awesome.
was like,
Yeah.
so
Sounds
yeah,
good. Sweet.
so yeah, I'm not excited about that. But anyways, you
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
saying
Right.
that
That part. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The only
the
reason I said that
flight.
is, oh,
Just,
well, this was totally my fault. Going back to originally, what I was saying is that this recording is totally my fault because, excuse me, though we've had company the past few days staying with us. My parents are coming in on Saturday, and they're going to be staying with us a whole week. And so I just did not think that I would be able to record. I suppose I could have if I set up in the basement, but you'd probably hear walking around.
yeah, dude,
Anyways,
and it's
anyways,
better
that's
to
what we're
just
here
have
for.
that time with your
Right.
folks.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Man, yeah. Even just the past few days, it's like I thought I was gonna get some stuff done, but no, it's just focusing on family and hanging out and stuff the whole time. There's
Hmm.
there's no there's no being productive. It's making memories, you know. So
Yeah, that'll be
it's
good
good.
for you. Like, and that's they'll be that's so that'll be their like they haven't been out to see you guys since you
Right.
moved. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. So yeah, I
that'll
think
be
they're
good.
gonna love it. It's gonna be
Yeah,
good. But
and yeah, I'm sure the kids are stoked.
yeah, they're tired because we've been doing a lot the past few days. So we're gonna take it easy for the next few days and then hit it hard again this next week. So
Cool,
it'll be good. It'll be
cool,
good. It'll be
cool,
fun.
cool, cool, cool.
All right, should we
Let's
get rolling?
Yeah, let's crank this bad boy out.
All right.
Let's just kind of. Oh wait.
Huh, huh, huh.
You know what? Let's do this
Oh,
first. And
I
since it's
just.
my opening bit,
Mhm.
I was like, why don't? What did you do? Did you do something
I
bad?
just deleted the intro from our whatchamacallit, our
Wow. Wow. Well,
soundboard. That's what
uh,
it's called. It's called a soundboard,
the
and I just
soundboard.
deleted the whole thing.
That is
I hit the little
wild.
X instead of just tapping on it.
Instead of stopping it, hit
Yeah.
X.
But hey, I can just upload it again because I
Just
own the
upload.
files because we paid
Did
for them.
have I told you that like that's the one? I don't think that one loads whenever I host.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's weird.
That is weird.
What?
Hmm.
I was just thinking, like, we want to be intentional about this. And I was
Yes.
like, as soon as you hit the button, I was like, it popped into my head. I was like, nope,
Wait.
we gotta do something first.
Yeah.
So, I'll pray. Father
Thank
God,
you.
thank you for tonight. Thank you for
Mhm,
my friend. Thank you for our listeners. These guys rock. All of these people rock. Josh rocks. The patrons rock, and all the other people that we don't have faces or names to assign to. And we thank you for just the privilege of like getting to hang out. It's
mhm,
kind of, I think this probably, for like, maybe seems like a silly thing to a lot of people, but I think I just thank you for the fact that like I get to hang out with Josh
mhm,
and sometimes other people, and we just get to talk about video games, which is this cool thing that we get to experience in this life you've given us. And we so it's just that's cool, and it's kind of weird, and it's a little wild, but we're grateful for that. Lord, most especially tonight, we want this conversation to be a blessing to our brothers and sisters who are listening. We
mhm,
want them to be encouraged and or challenged if need be. Um, so we just ask that tonight that it's enjoyable, but also that it would be edifying and useful. And again, help us to do that well and steward this time well. We
mhm.
ask all this in the name of the Son by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
I do like how it just like that crunch. Like there's like a build up to it, and it gets crunchy.
Mhm.
I like that. It's good. So hello and welcome to another episode of the Backlog Breakdown, a podcast examining video games, stewardship, recreation, all sorts of fun things through a biblical lens. Um, we take playing seriously here, maybe
Mm.
too seriously. I'm one of your hosts, Nate, joined as almost always by my friend and brother in Christ, Josh. How you doing tonight, big guy?
Hey, hey, hey. Doing good. Doing good, man. How you
Yeah,
doing? How you doing?
I, I'm.
Say hello
I'm
to your
okay.
mother
I
for me.
I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, get out of here.
Speaking of time,
Mm-hmm.
that's on the docket tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did I noticed the title you had sort of just like thrown into I like that. It's about time.
It's about
Um,
time we
it's
talked
about
about
time.
this,
It's about time that we
Nathaniel.
talked about time. We're going to be doing a little bit of an examination of just well, I think the primary question of the episode tonight is going to be like, what does our time tell us about the things we worship?
Mm-hmm.
Which we probably have variations of this conversation or shades of it, but it, it'd just be a good topic to revisit. But before we jump into that,
Mm-hmm.
dude, well, I'd like to know how
It's been
with you since we
Mm-hmm.
last spoke.
Yeah. 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 I see. No, it's been good, man. We've had some family come in town. My wife's cousin, who they're she's close in age to my wife, and they grew up kind of like closer to sisters than cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun having her here, taking her out and doing stuff, and we went to another iCubs game, which was fun. We've done a ton of stuff. We'd been meaning to go to the zoo, but we never ended up doing that because there were just so many other things to do here in and around town and stuff going on. There was the county fair, which sounds like really, I don't know. I don't
Nah,
know.
dude, the fairs can be lit.
It was fun. It was fun. Like
There's like carny food and
mhm,
bad
yeah,
rides. Yeah.
yeah, all kinds of stuff. It was, it was pretty cool. So the Iowa State Fair is enormous. That starts next week or like in a week and a half. and that goes on in Des Moines, and I've heard it's huge.
It's
I
lit.
actually heard from one of my yeah, it's lit. From one of my good friends, he said actually when he went with his wife, he was gonna meet his, in-laws there, or that's what they had planned, and he said it was, like, one of the worst experiences of his life because they were there for, like, 3 hours trying to find each other because there's so many people and there's just so much
That's
stuff going on, they couldn't.
insane.
Yeah, yeah. So he was and he told me, he was like, "I haven't had a very difficult life, but this was one of the worst days of my life." And, so that was, and he also, I mean, at the time, his son is maybe, well, no, his son is Byron's age, and this was last year,
Oh,
last summer, so,
dude,
you know,
that's
a young kid and then just trying to find your in-laws for that long is just, anyways, so
mm,
that's huge. And so I think the county fair was pretty downplayed by the people here. It's like, oh, it's fun and it's free, so it'll be a fun thing to go to. So I was very impressed with the breadth of it. um Side note, they had a whole area, they do a bunch of animals and stuff like that, so they've
mhm,
got cattle that they grade
mhm,
and show off and all that stuff. There was a tent, and it was like a long tent that had rabbits in it. So there
mhm,
were tons, like dozens and dozens of different rabbits, and there was this one kind of rabbit. I don't Flemish giant. And these
mhm.
things were enormous. I had never seen a rabbit that big. Like, it was bigger than the last dog that we had. Bigger than like a dachshund. It was crazy how huge this
I
stinking rabbit was.
well, and I think at the fair, like those are all meat rabbits. I think
Y-
like all the livestock gets sold, like
Mhm.
all of
Right.
them
Yeah.
get sold for things. They get chopped up. But yeah, those Flemish giants,
Mhm.
I think Wesley has mentioned them. And yeah,
Okay.
they are large.
It's crazy. Yeah, yeah. No, like seeing one in person was insane. Also, uh, I think Meat Rabbits would be a good name for a band. But anyways, that's what I've
Meat
been into.
rabbits. That's
How have things been for you, good sir?
not too bad.
Oh, that's
Although
good.
yeah, not too bad. Just mildly bad. Um not horrible.
Mhm.
They've been okay, but the last couple of nights I had to snake out a clog from our tub
Oh.
drain, like the drain from the tub going into the sewer main. And then we have drains in our basement floor
Mhm.
that the one, like every time we would run a load of laundry, water would back up and start spilling like onto the floor
Oh,
through
okay.
that drain.
Yeah.
And so I had to do I think I might have fixed it. I don't know. Like um I got a giant jug of liquid plumber, and then after I
Okay.
had used it all up, I read that you're technically not supposed to use that. They're like, you probably shouldn't use that. And I was like,
Mhm.
well, too late. I did.
I did
Um,
so.
I did. So there's that. But I did flush it with um I'd say 15 to 20 gallons of hot water. Like I just kept filling up this
Okay. Yeah.
bucket and just pouring
Mhm.
it through because like and like the thing is like it's meant to like trap like so there's like trap in the it's like it's got the S curve thing. So there's
Mhm.
supposed to be water in it. You want
Yeah.
water in it to a certain like cuz like that's also to keep like sewage gas from
Right.
getting
Yep.
through. But at the same time you don't want that backing up
Mhm.
into you know your thing. So yeah. So yeah, I
Fun.
think I got it. I think I got it sussed out, but
Sweet.
we'll see. We'll see. I ended up having to buy a 50-foot snake. I have like a 20
Okay.
foot one,
Okay.
and I had put that down there, and I didn't. And after I got the 50-foot like in there moving around, I didn't. It. I don't know. I hope I got it. That's all I'm saying is like I don't know. I hope I got it. It seems like it's working better now.
Okay.
But it's just like, oh, if I ever have to do this again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get that gray water and that stuff stinks.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I got a gray water
Lovely.
bath when I pulled out the clog
Mm.
in the other line. So it's just like, like, I'm plumbing sucks.
Yeah.
It's
Super
like
fun.
it's the worst. And so it's like at some point in time, I've got to go down and just kind of like wipe the basement down with like Clorox wipes. And
Gotcha.
there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, yeah, this is all just going to get thrown out. Like,
Mm.
that's easy. We're just going to throw that in the trash.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was, I mean, it's like, okay. It's like, I was texting back and forth with Jared a little bit. And he said the joy, we were just kind of joking about it. And he said the joys of home ownership. And I sent him that
Mm-hmm.
GIF from Nacho Libre. It's the best. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. It's the best.
It's the best. I live in a room all by myself.
And it's like, but yeah. So that's, I mean, and then today has kind of been like I was
Okay.
supposed to see, like, the thing is, I was supposed to get together with a buddy of mine and smoke cigars. But then I had to do this stupid thing with my drain. And that made me like, one of those things
Mm.
is like way farther on the fun scale, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fun side of the scale or the spectrum. And the other is like on the suck side of the spectrum. And
Right.
so, yeah,
And so the suck is just amplified because you're not able to do the fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to have
Makes sense.
cigars with my buddy, but now I gotta, yeah. Anyways, but you know what though too, we did have dinner with some friends last night, and it was
Oh, sweet.
really. They made like this like fajita. But it wasn't like it was like a fajita mix thing, but it was like done on like a baking pan, and it was like
Okay.
I don't know. It was really good. It was
Yeah.
really, really good. Like I don't know. Okay, this is a weird side tangent. Megan is looking at me because she said to me, she's like, "You have never said anything I have ever made was really good."
Oh
That is not
no.
true. That is
Oh
not.
no.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah.
But
Phenomenal.
um, it was really good.
Hmm.
It was, and I think it was like, and the thing that got me is like, and I explained it to them, is like, I don't like a lot of cooked vegetables. Like I like
Hmm.
cooked broccoli or like green beans or peas, right?
Hmm.
But as a general rule, I don't really like my vegetables cooked. Um, and when they are cooked, they have to be like, and it's gonna sound like, but if you cook peppers and onions, they need to be soft. Like I'm not
Okay.
talking like
Yeah.
soggy, like falling, but like they have to be soft. Like
Hmm.
I have to tell that they've been cooked. And sometimes like you eat things and it's like it's like they barely like they heated them up. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
the peppers and onions were like the perfect consistency, and then like the black
Okay.
beans and the kale, and there's like the sauce that they had, and with the chicken, I was like, dude, it was really good. I
Nice.
liked it. I liked it a lot. And then Megan was mad because she said I've never said that about any of her cooking,
Gotcha.
and that's not true. It's not true. Maybe I've never used the word
Hmm.
phenomenal, but her cooking, like she makes some things I really do enjoy. So I
Hmm.
just, but anyways, so I got myself in trouble. But
Yeah. There you go.
it's the good and the
Happens
bad,
sometimes.
man. It's the good and the bad. But it's, yeah, that's what's been going on since we last spoke.
Nice. Nice. Well, that's
But
good.
I guess the other side of that question is, what have you been into since,
Ah.
like, in the whole week since we last
That it's been.
recorded?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I do have some media to report on.
Yes. You like this entirely too much. If you guys could see what he's doing, he is air drumming so vigorously. It's the
You're
most
here.
committed air drumming I've ever seen in my life.
All right. Yeah. So I do have some stuff to report on. Just a little bit this time, this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Few things that I've been into. And really, I guess this is just a little out of style because usually it's books that I'm reading or other things
Mhm.
like that. This is all a bunch of stuff that I've been watching. Although technically, I guess a lot of my YouTube time is just listening as opposed to actually watching. It's a
Mm.
visual medium, but sometimes I just don't watch. I just listen. Pop in a headphone or two. What's that?
I was gonna say like that YouTube Premium, I it's a
Yeah.
little pricey by itself,
Hmm.
but yeah, dude, it is really nice because I would just listen to content when I had it, like the times I
Hmm.
would sign up for it. I can actually sign up for it through Verizon, I think, for like $10. I might do
Oh,
that.
nice, nice.
Might do that.
Well, I'll just say we can talk about that in the bro hang. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Uh, okay, but anyways, it's one of those topics like emulation where it's like, is that really yeah? But I can throw some
Mm-mm.
ideas your way.
Mm.
Anyways, the okay, so starting with some YouTube. Actually, I've just got two channels to plug here that I've been enjoying quite a bit lately. The first one, we can't dive deep on this because I don't want it to derail anything. For anyone who listens to the Bro Hang, we can get derailed whenever we talk about politics because that's super fun
Mm.
topics. But this channel,
And
I
by
think, is
fun, you mean it's absolutely infuriating.
the American politics is a crazy like circus show. I would say right now, but I think it's been that way for like a decade now. It's crazy. I say
At
that I
least.
mean, yeah, right, right. It's like it was careening that way, and now it's full. I mean, yeah, got Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock, man. I mean, why not? Anyways, we're not going to go there, but
Hmm.
I will recommend this channel that is largely a political channel. He goes by Dad Saves America, and he is just a level-headed voice when it comes to politics. I say that
Hmm.
as someone who is pretty light, right leaning. And so,
Hmm.
if you're listening to this and you don't agree with that, um, then he may seem pretty, outlandish. But I think he really seeks to listen to both sides and
Yeah,
give his
and
opinions. Yeah.
I would
What's up?
co-sign on Dad Saves America.
Hmm.
You introduced him to me with that video he did on sort of like the way forward, basically being like just like make everything a Dobbs decision.
Hmm.
And like I think I mean like because that is a and again not to get too, but that's like a legitimate question, like how are we going to go forward. There
Yeah.
are at least two very very strongly opposed like ideologies that
Hmm.
are sort of like in the political limelight, and there's not a lot of crosstalk.
Right.
So it's just like
Right.
there's not a lot of like compromise or meeting in the middle or anything, and it's just like everything seems very stressed and very tense, and it's like frankly I think what he had to say there was really good. It's like, yeah, just make everything a states' rights issue. Like put it all back to the states.
Hmm.
Like gay marriage, gun control, all of it.
Hmm.
Just put it all back on the states. Like whatever you can think. Like it no, like look at the states and say, do your job.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely for smaller government, which
yeah.
unfortunately, currently in our two-party system, neither party is for. So
Yep.
it's yeah,
That is
it's
true.
it's difficult. But anyways, I would recommend his content. Now, I don't watch him religiously, so I'm sure there are videos out there that he's done that I would say, no, I disagree with that take. Sure, why not?
Yep.
But out of the videos that I've seen, more often than not, he at least has something very intelligent to say. And so I appreciate, and he says it with a lot of heart. So Dad
Yeah.
Saves America, good YouTube channel. The other good YouTube channel that I'd like to plug here, that I would recommend. It's this guy. His name is Nate Sala. He goes by Wise Disciple on YouTube, and I started watching him when he used to be a debate teacher, a high school debate teacher, and he would do debate not reactions but like reviews of debates, where he would primarily look at and these are usually theological debates, and he would assess um the not the closing arguments but a lot of the cross examination of debates, because that's usually where you get the clash there. And he would basically just assess the performance of the debaters. That's kind of how I jumped onto his stuff. But he has a
Hmm.
lot of theological stuff in general. It's not just debate stuff any longer. He does all kinds of stuff, and now YouTube, I think, is his full time gig at the moment. So
Hmm.
it's good stuff, and it makes you think. And he is not, I feel like he's not very forceful with a lot of his stuff. Like he presents stuff, but again, just another guy that I think has a really good head on his shoulders, and I would recommend
Hmm.
his YouTube channel. So Wise Disciple, it's a
Shoot me,
good one.
shoot me, maybe like some like one of his video, like your
Okay,
favorite
okay,
video of his, because it's
yeah,
if I do the YouTube Premium thing or
hmm,
other things, I might start utilizing some of that YouTube stuff a little bit more. But
hmm,
yeah. So have you
sweet.
been into anything else since then? Since we last spoke?
The only other thing is a show that I've been watching with my wife. It is a like a BBC masterpiece thing. So we thought it was, well, I say it's a show and we thought it was a show, but these masterpiece things are basically like mini movies. You know,
Hmm.
like do you remember those Sherlock BBC
Yeah, dude.
show?
Like the one with Cumberbatch and
Yes. Yeah. It's like
oh,
that
who was the
uh
other dude though?
right. Why can't
It's
I think of his name?
Martin
Young
Freeman.
Bilbo. Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
Um
dude.
It's sort of like that. The production quality isn't quite that high, but it's like that where it's like it's sort of a show, it's sort of a contained movie, but they like they go in a certain order, but they're also like an hour and a half long each episode, so they're like
Th-
movie
Well, they're
mini
like a mini
series,
series.
high
Yeah, but
production
it's
values. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, very very long episode mini series kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and so this one that we've been watching is called Wallander, and it's older-ish. I think it started like 10 years ago, something like that. But they're based on books. He's this detective in yeah, Sweden. That's how you say it. Which is kind of funny because everyone has these thick British accents, but then they say like the names of places or something, or you see a road sign and it's like in a different language, and it's kind of funny. What's his
It's
face?
in
Tom
Swedish.
Hiddleston is in it. Right. Yeah, it's
Okay.
in Swedish. He plays one of the side characters, one of the other guys who works at the detective's office, or the whatchamacallit, the police station is what it's called. So, anyways, it's been fun. It's been good. And I say fun, obviously it's a crime show, so it gets kind of gnarly. But
Mm.
we've been enjoying it. Uh, yeah, really, that's kind of all we've been into at the moment.
British television, like I'm gonna sound like probably such a snob right now, and I don't
Hmm.
care, but British television, I've always enjoyed their programming. I think
Hmm.
so much more than most American television.
Hmm.
Um, like I'm gonna say this, and I know it's not a popular take, but I earnestly believe that the British Office is a superior version.
Oh,
And
okay.
they are two different things, and I will recognize that. Um, but I like the British version better. It's
Mm.
and there are just like a few BBC shows that have been like brought over for American audiences that
Hmm.
I've watched like the British versions, and I'm like, I prefer this. I
Yeah.
prefer the British version. Maybe it's because it's the original, but it's like, I think that, well, I think the other thing too is just that British television does this thing where, and maybe like I'm sure they have like long standing, long running sitcoms and stuff like that. But as a general rule, they're
Hmm.
just like much more they do like the miniseries thing where it's like
Hmm.
this show will run for a few years, it'll tell its story and it'll go away.
Hmm.
And personally, I'm like, yes, all about that.
Yeah.
Now, when we get into Downton Abbey, like that can go burn on a trash fire. And I'm going to say
Oh,
this as
wow.
somebody who loved that show up until
Mhm.
they killed my favorite character. And then I
Okay.
realized I had just been watching soap operas.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Yeah.
was like, they got me.
Mhm.
So they can go, it can go burn on a trash in a trash heap.
Yeah. As someone who has seen, 2 of the Downton Abbey movies in theaters because my wife wanted to see them, I largely agree with you. I wouldn't go so far to say as, like, burn in a trash fire, but I agree, like, there's a very I was gonna say a steep drop off. It's not even necessarily that. It is, that is one show that they did not, send it off to pasture when it needed to
No.
go, like, because it was such that show needs to create drama. Nothing can
Yeah.
ever be going, like, all going right. Something bad has to happen all the
Well,
time,
let me
and it's
tell
like
you,
you said, it's a soap opera. It's a
I'll
soap
tell
opera,
you the
and it
point
doesn't feel that way for a good long time.
where I dropped off was, um, I was really rooting for Mary and Matthew, I think.
Mhm. Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
and when they killed Matthew,
Yeah.
spoilers,
Yeah.
I was just like, "No, I'm done." Like this show sucks. I'm done.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
because it was like there was so much like drama everywhere else, and it was
Mhm.
like that would have been the perfect place to just like end it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but they're like, "Nope, hey, he dies," and I was like, "Get bent." I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm out."
Right. Yeah. No,
So
I get it. I get it. I do think it's a good show, but at the same time, like you said, yes, it is totally a soap opera. And if it were
well,
only just like a season or 2, it would have been better.
yeah, and I really think like what was great about that is it really was like a fascinating sort of like perspective. Like it was like there were
Mhm.
all these little details and like there was all this like really cool minutia. But it's like
Yeah.
I said, when they did that arc, I was just like, and then you get like I think I watched an episode here or there, and I just was like, no, no. But
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
here to talk about Downton Abbey because I haven't
Yeah.
watched Downton Abbey in a long, long time, like years.
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
tell you something that I have been watching.
Yeah.
I
What you been
and I
into?
mentioned this a while ago, but I've been like I just sat down and I plowed through like 3 or 4 episodes. But Bakugan, um, it's just the
So
best.
the show about the top battling thing.
No, I said Bakugan, right?
Yeah, that's a Bakugan. Yeah, I think you're talking about Bakuman with an
I thought
M.
Bakuman was the oh whatever. Anyways, the show about the mangaka.
Right,
Um,
right. But if there's anyone listening who's younger than us, they're gonna
well,
recognize
they're just
Bakugan
stupid.
as the as
They're
the
stupid
battling
babies.
tops.
I see. I hate that. I and
How dare you?
how dare they name those things almost the exact same thing? And then my feeble brain, but yeah, Bakuman.
Yes.
See, I feel like Bakuman makes sense with the tops because it's almost like a Pokemon Digimon thing because the tops come alive and they're like monsters.
Okay. Okay. There you
And that's
go.
in my head. That's like the association. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's
Yeah.
just terrible. But anyways, Bakuman is. I've been watching like 3 or 4 episodes, and it's like one of my favorite things.
Hmm.
I really do like that story. It's just got a lot of heart and it's kind of sweet and tender and it captures a lot of like, I'm still pretty early on in the run, but it's like it captures a lot of just like the cuz like these dudes when the show starts out they're like 15, 16 years old. Like they're
Right.
young. They're
Hmm.
middle schoolers and it's yeah, anyways. I like that show. Um
Hmm.
as far as other things I've been into you know, I did finish that Life is Hard, God is Good book. And
Let's
it's a
see.
strong recommend still.
Okay.
Um,
Sweet.
yeah,
Good to
it's
know.
and again, I would just caveat that by saying like it is pop theology.
Hmm.
There's no major insights, but it's just like it's honest and it's refreshing. Something a little more substantial. I did go through The Emotional Life of Our Lord by B.B. Warfield, and I'm
Okay.
just gonna say, like, everybody needs to check that out. It's short. It's like if you're listening to it, it's like a couple hours long. And you read it, I think it's less than 100 pages. It is an absolutely I I want to say like refreshing and challenging. It surprised me. And really I found it to be really provocative. I think it's excellent, and it's for something as small as it is. It really, I mean, it's BB Warfield, so there's like some chops there, right? Um,
Right.
it's excellent, so I recommend it to everybody.
Sweet.
Like that sort of goes on this like must read kind of tier. Like very strongly recommend that. Last
Nice.
but the last sort of thing that I'll throw out there, and it's sort of bouncing off of your Dad Saves America,
Mm-hmm.
and this is more of just like a couple of stand-alone episodes. Last Stand Media has a conversational podcast called Constellation, and they grab 3 or 4 people in sort of the Last Stand Media family's orbit, um, and they've done 2 of these basically political episodes. There was one shortly after the um, debate or the
Okay.
debacle.
Nice. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then they just released another one, and the participants in that, and so Colin is pretty right leaning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then his co-host on Sacred Symbols, Chris Reagan, is a pretty hardcore leftist. He also has David Jaffe, the creator of the God of War series, who
Mm-hmm.
is super hardcore left. And then Gene
Oh
Park
wow.
from the Washington Post, who does, he's on a few of the podcasts in that sort of orbit.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the hosts of Punching Up, or one of the chairs on Punching Up, but he's a pretty frequent contributor in Last Stand Media. But he showed up on that, and it was just it was, some of it was insane. Like, and just like full disclosure, warning language. David Jaffe, uh, he swears like a 5th grader, like you
Gotcha.
know,
I mean, I would expect nothing less from the creator of God of War, frankly.
yeah. And but it's
Edgy
one of
man.
those things where I think it's interesting because I live in sort of a very red bubble, and there's some
Okay.
opinions
Yeah.
from other people, and again, it's I don't think it's anything super profound, but I did find it to be an interesting conversation about the American political um just situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's really interesting is that they've done 2 of those, like almost like not back to back, but really kind of like very quickly. um and even their conversation about Kamala, or however you say her name, uh
Mm-hmm.
was, I don't know, it was pretty interesting. So um yeah, it's one of those things
Cool.
where I'd say, hey, it's not bad for like checking out if you want to check out conversations that aren't echo chambery. That's it's
Okay.
you
Okay.
know
Yeah.
because
Nice.
like I said, Colin is, and like there's some stuff that Colin says that even I was like, oh, like I raised my eyebrow because I'm right leaning. I'm more of a
Mm-hmm.
centrist. I tend to be a lot more moderate, but I am pretty right leaning. And there were a few things that he said I was like, what? And then he goes on and he explains some of his position, and while it's still like, I still don't co-sign, but that makes a little bit more sense. Like, you said this thing, and I was like, but yeah,
Okay.
it's interesting, and it's like I said, full sort of like disclosure. Like, again, there's some language, and if that's a real problem, there's a lot of language, and so David Jaffe also like has the mental. um he's a really smart dude, but he talks and acts like a 13-year-old boy. So just there's that can be a little off-putting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's really all that I've been sort of like that's out of the since the last week or whatever. That's kind of what I've been into and what I would recommend. That being said, we are a video game podcast, Josh, and I think it is time to talk about the things that we've been playing. So let me ask you, what have you been playing lately? What do you got going? You know, we never even mentioned this segment is called the Backlog Report. Wow, we are terrible at our jobs. We are the worst podcast hosts in history.
I mean, I think we pretty much, at least alluded to that when we had
Yeah, but
our
we
theme
didn't do
tune.
the smooth
Yeah.
podcast host thing.
Hmm.
I failed everyone. I'm like
Well,
I'm like
that's a.
Michael Caine's Alfred in Batman.
Oh.
I failed you. I'm sorry.
That was good. That was good. I liked that. I like that. Well, don't worry because I'm a failure as well, and I just haven't been playing that much. I played a little bit more of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on Switch Online. So I've been playing through that, and we will be discussing that more on an upcoming episode. Hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
Nod, nod,
Wink,
wink,
wink, nudge,
wink.
nudge.
Yes, nudge. That's what it is. So we'll talk about that more later, but that's a fun game. Outside of that, man, it's really just been some couch co-op stuff. So a little bit more of Rayman Legends, not that much, but mostly what it's been because we've had family over the past most of the last week is a lot of Mario Kart 8 because
Mm.
it's just a great what do you call those things, man? There's a term for it and I just feel stupid because I'm in front
I
of a
would just call
microphone
it
and I
a
forget that.
strife generator.
Well,
Um,
no, it's an equalizer. That's what it is. It's the great
mm.
equalizer because I mean, although like I've taught my son some things and he's gotten pretty dang good. He's given his old man a run for his money. But even with that, there are elements to the game where it seems kind of random, but it 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 makes the game a little more difficult if you are playing very well. I'll put it that way. And it elevates players who are not that great.
It's all
And
right to say that it rubber bands.
yes, it's rubber banding. Yes. And so it's fun for everyone. Even my little 4-year-old daughter can play because there is auto steering that you can enable.
Mm.
And she could just hold down the A button and her character can do, fairly well. End up in ninth place or whatever out of the 20 riders. So we have a great time with that. It's always fun, whether it's battle mode or racing or whatever.
Mm.
So man, I can see how it's sold so many copies. It's just a great game, Mario Kart 8.
Yeah. Mario
But
Kart
with that,
is pretty
yeah,
great, yes.
yeah. What a fantastic series. And I like playing my here recently. I like playing with the little squid kids. They're fun. I like uh,
Mm.
I like the Splatoon aesthetics. It's fun. Anyways, haven't finished anything, and so my beatdown score still remains at -5 so far. As we're coming over here on the second half of the year. That's where I sit, or stand, or lay. I don't know. How about you?
Um, I mean, honestly, this is probably like, yeah, it's not that exciting. But just been, I have been doing work on Persona 3 Reloaded. I
Mm-hmm.
am in
Yeah.
January at this point in time, and
Okay. Yeah.
I am like 6 or 7 trophies away from getting the platinum. I think the
Whoa.
hardest one is going to be, well, the guide just helps me maximize because a lot of it is
Gotcha.
just like
Gotcha.
there's it's helped me like, so like the social link trophy, I'll have that one here shortly. I think the
Okay.
hardest trophy is going to be, so there are 2 trophies I'm a little concerned about. Um
Completing the compendium.
that's not a trophy. Um
Wow. How can you say you platinum the game and you haven't completed the compendium? Man,
I mean,
that's
I
something else.
pretty much have,
That's
but
something
that's not
else.
a
Okay.
trophy. Uh Yeah, but it's you have to beat a Reaper. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and so that one I'm kind of like that might be tough.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
thing that I'd have to do is and I've read in some places that sometimes this is bugged, but there's 17 Twilight shards or whatever that you can find around town.
Okay.
And so I need to, but yeah, where I'm at in the game is like I'm really just kind of like getting ready for endgame. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like right now I don't have anything meaningful to do at night. So a lot of times I just go to Tartarus and I just grind,
Oh,
and so
okay.
that I
Okay.
can gear up and sort of like level up my different persona. Like I've got
Mhm.
a lot of the higher end ones, and so I'm trying to get there's a that weapons dealer
Mhm.
who like the antique shop at the mall that you can get like the weapons with a it's like almost like it reminds me of like it's sort of a half crafting system kind of thing, but because you need like the
Okay.
different resources from uh the tower from
Mhm.
Tartarus. Anyways, yeah, to craft different weapons and armor and stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
But I'm pretty much I've got I have to finish Yukari's relationship arc
Okay.
and Aegis's or however you
Mhm.
say her name. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, it's
Nice. So I gotta ask. So far, you're not done with the game yet. I get it, but
mhm.
where does it slot in for the three Persona games that you've played so far?
I so it's weird because and there's a part of me that wants to go back and play Five Royal in
Hmm.
a similar way.
Yeah.
And actually for Golden, just like sort of do like just the spoiler free walkthrough to sort of
Hmm.
maximize everything.
Sure.
I think by very nature of its theme, so it's like it's
Hmm.
primarily about death.
Right.
It's a little it's a little weightier, and
For
it
sure.
feels a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
more substantial. And
Definitely more
frankly,
than four, I would say.
yeah, I
Five.
liked 4 a lot, but I think as a general rule, I like the cast in 3 better.
Hmm.
Um, everybody is kind of like grown on me
Hmm.
in and it's just like I don't know, like honestly, I think the game just kind of like I think it does the thing that every Persona game that I've played does where it just kind of it does overstay its welcome. Like these games
Okay.
could all
Yeah, that's fair.
probably be like 30 hours shorter and
Hmm.
I'd like them a lot more.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but this one it feels like the character developments are the most interesting.
Hmm.
Like, and it's like I told you, and we can talk about we'll definitely talk about this more with Wes. But like
Right.
Junpei started out as like a total just jackwagon. Like
Hmm.
I couldn't stand him. I was like, what a dork.
Yeah.
Just like what a pompous little turd.
Hmm.
And like he's still kind of that way, but
Sure.
it's also like he's grown like he's grown on me and it's like
Hmm.
okay yeah like no I see some of the charm. um so it's just kind of interesting. And I think it's like it's the least I would say 3 is probably my favorite Persona right now.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
um I think like because like 4 is about friendship and it's a little light and airy and
Hmm.
everything else. um and just like as a like no, I'll save some things for the actual episode,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I think it might be my favorite out of like 3, 4, and 5, just
Nice.
because like I think the story's got more hooks, and I don't know if that's
Hmm.
because like so it's like is it because it's like a little more serious and it's like the thematically it's a little more melancholy, maybe. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Because it's about death and loss, like, and every one of those characters is shaped by death and loss in some substantial way. Like it's and whereas I think the like 4 is about like friendship and discovering like your true self through that. And 5 I think is like I think the theme for 5 in my opinion is rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's sort of like bucking uh bucking the trends and kind of like and but yeah, I don't know. I think right now it might be 3.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That is very satisfying to hear. Uh, because I've always held to that myself as well. But yeah, we'll talk about it more on a future episode because
Hmm.
there's a lot to dig into in the game.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear you say that. I
I
wasn't
thought
I
you
wasn't sure where you were. So
I thought you yeah, I thought you'd like that. Yeah, I like the way it's in I just think it's sort of especially the 3 reloaded version I think is a cut
hmm
above.
hmm
Um it's and the other thing is like it's not too busy.
hmm
Like
right.
4 and 5 they kept like layering on and piling on like more systems and more things to do, and it's like frankly I like kind of like just like the decluttered, and again I'm using the spoiler free walkthrough to sort of like help
hmm
me guide me through it, but it's like it doesn't feel as like busy or hectic or weird, it's
Yeah,
just like yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
it had like sort of a really, for a Persona game, like a tight presentation, and I actually
Hmm,
like that a lot, where it's
nice.
like, but yeah.
Cool. Cool. I dig it.
So yeah, but I mean, and that's really all I've been playing.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
so I guess yeah, my score hasn't changed either. I'm still at
Nice.
+1. At some point in time, I am going to beat some things and sort of knock that number down. Um, but yeah, I just have to say too, like I have been resisting. There have been some things that have gone on sale where I'm like, I kind of want that. I'm just like, no, no,
Yeah.
we'll hold fast. But I mean, you guys know what's coming next. It's time for us to talk about all the things that aren't aren't this podcast that you should probably be paying attention to. And so we're going to start off with just guys, and this is very like podcast centric, but it's the backlog beatdown. It's that meta that we run all year long where if you buy games, you take points, and where you when you beat games, you lose points. And the thing is, you want to get that score as low as possible. That's the gist of it, right?
hmm
And there's if you're interested in a rule set or a rule sheet, we have one in our Discord server. I think it's pinned in the backlog beatdown 2024 channel, the current
Mm.
iteration of the rules. Also, and you can edit this out and post. I I have a proposed edit or revision.
Oh.
So, and this is, I'm gonna, I've been meaning to text you or just like drop a message in that. So, I think we abandoned that, like, because it used to be the first time you got a completion on a game,
hmm
that was a -1. Like,
hmm
and I think we have gotten rid of that rule for the most part, and we have um, that like completions, like it was like any completion, if it's the first time that you completed a game, you can take a -1. So if you did Game Pass or whatever, um
Oh, okay.
i I think we need to revisit that, and but I think how we have like the three sort of like like there's the replay, the
hmm
Game Pass, and the borrowed. I think we should just lump all and say you get 3 free plays. Like that, it's like, so if you want to burn them all on replays, you can do that. If you want to burn them all on borrowed games, you can do that. If you want to burn them all on Game Pass games, or like that's, or you can split them up any which way you want. But like, just say like, hey, you get three of them. They're yours to use however you will. But like that's the only thing. Does that make sense?
I'm not quite sure what that has to do with completions.
Well,
But
completions, I
completions are
think we need to.
only for Game Pass games. That's what you're saying.
I think just like we used to give the avenue for scoring for Game Pass games is saying like
Gotcha.
you
Okay.
could get a completion to score it out. What I'm saying is like I think we need to bring that back. So it needs to be like any first time completion on any game, whether it's borrowed or Game Pass or whatever, is a -1.
Okay.
Okay. But then we just say like there's 3 free plays where it's like instead of saying it's like you have 1 replay, you have 1 Game Pass, and it's like no, there's up to 3 games that they can be. It can be any combination of those. It can be one of
hmm
each. It can be two of one. But it's like just 3 free. I'm saying like those are the 2 revisions in my head that I'm
Yeah.
seeing,
Yeah.
where it's like we bring back the like any completion counts
hmm
as long as it's your first time completing. Like,
hmm
so if it's like, if you've completed this game, there's a person who shall not be named, that has completed the same game like 8 times
Okay.
and keeps wanting to score that out. And he's like, it's like, no, dude, like, no, like, that's
hmm
not how that works.
hmm
Um, but, uh, but it's like the first time you complete a game, regardless of where it comes from, like, and like 100%. So it's like all achievements, trophies, 100%, whatever. And then you
hmm
can claim that. Anyways, so we bring back that, but then we just change that to it's 3 free plays that you
You
can
cap it
use.
to 3.
You cap it at 3, and you can use those for replays. You can use those for borrowed games, or you can use them for a Game Pass game that you just want to beat and move on
Mm.
from. But you only get 3. Like
Okay.
you can use those for any of those, any combination of those
hmm
3 categories.
Yeah.
Because
Interesting.
those are category. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like if you want to borrow a couple games from a
hmm
friend,
Yeah.
you can just that's there you go. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, that'd be advantageous because now our library has video games. So I
well,
actually just put Splatoon on hold
and that's
because.
the thing too, is like because the way it's built now, and I was actually thinking about that in particular and
Oh,
things
really?
like that,
Yeah.
is because like you play those games, right?
hmm
And you're not really adding to your backlog, but it's like you're probably not going to take advantage of like Game Pass.
Right.
And I mean, you'll probably use the replay,
Yeah.
but it's like, and
Yeah.
frankly, this year,
Link to the past
like,
is probably going to be it.
yeah, I'm going to be doing Link to the Past. And there was something else that I wanted to just revisit for but I was like, oh, I could use, do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I
Yeah.
think this is for next year, like, but
Okay.
going forward,
That's
like,
what
I
I
don't
was
want to
going to
do it.
say. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do like a mid-year sort of shift up. It's like next
Yeah.
year when we start,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to reinstitute this.
hmm
And this is how, anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
I
think that works really well because even the replays themselves have always, for the past 2 years, has been billed as like, this is a special rule for this year,
mhm.
you know? So
Or
I think even retooling it, we could say, hey, this is how we're
I
going to do it
think
this year.
even what we do is sort of say like the free plays can be used, like we could redeem those for podcast games, or
Okay.
people could redeem those for book club games. So where
Okay.
you don't have to
Okay.
take the
Yeah.
credit and you can use a free play credit. Like, so there
Yeah.
is like a little bit of like penalty, but not, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah.
looking at it
Okay. Okay.
like if we had that in play this year, it's like I probably would have burned one on Persona.
Oh,
Like
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would have been
Especially
like,
with the
no.
amount of time you've put into it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, I like in hindsight, I'm like, no, I think completion, the first time a game gets completed, you ought to be able to collect a -1.
hmm
Um, yeah. So yeah, it's just
Nice.
something I'll try and remember and throw that in the channel, which on. But anyways,
Sweet.
where I was talking about
The beatdown itself.
the beatdown. Okay.
And so the way that we keep track of our
And the way
beatdown
that we
score.
keep, yes, and the way that we keep track of that is on the official app of the Backlog Beatdown. That's the
Mm.
GG app, developed by a friend of the show, and I would say our friend.
Mhm.
it's not like we're like bestest bros, but we're pretty friendly with him. But Charles
Yeah.
Watson, he, why did I say it like that? Charles Watson, like almost like a question. But
My
friend
dear
of
Charles. I mean, my dear Watson.
Chucky Dubs. Uh,
Yeah. Chucky
uh,
Dubs.
Uh, but Charles Watson developed GG, and it's essentially a letterbox style app for your video game collection. There's a whole pile of features in there that you can sort of get into. You can create, and essentially the way that we use it is you create custom lists. We have a list for acquisitions. We have a list for the games that we beat. There's also different play statuses that you can assign to that. So, and we have the different scorings here. So it's like beat, complete, etc.
Mhm.
And there's a whole sort of like toolkit in there. You can also rate and review games that you've. I'm gonna hopefully. I would strongly suggest that if you're going to rate and review games in the app, you should do it to games that you've played. But you can see what your friends are playing. Josh is on there. I'm on there. A lot of the friends of the show. Micah is on there. I think Mark Erickson is on there.
Mhm.
Just a pile of the guys that we have on, the breakdown and that we're friendly with. Most of them can be found in GG. And if you like, and you can get all of that for free. Like the whole kit is free to download. And if you like what you're seeing there for $5 a month or $50 a year, you can get access to the elite program. And what that does is it gives you a unique role in his Discord server. So you get a little more access to Charles, and that you can opt into basically being a beta tester and seeing some of the early builds. You also you get to take a peek at sort of what he's focusing on, his different sort of like the roadmaps and things.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's cool. We're both sort of at that elite tier as well. And again, we like the product, we like Charles, and we definitely think you ought to check it out. Other things that you ought to check out and maybe throw money at, it's well, you're already listening to this, but we
Hey.
have a Patreon, right? And essentially, it's a tip jar. We do have a few more costs than we used to. We had to opt into a paid version of Zencaster, but that helps cover basically our operating expenses. It also if we have to buy games for episodes or for patron recommendations, that the money goes towards covering that. Um, but in addition to that, anybody, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help this podcast. But in addition to helping us, right, so that you get that nice warm fuzzy feeling for helping two of your favorite podcast hosts, uh, actually, well, maybe just one. It's probably just Josh. 'Cause but you probably get the warm and fuzzies from helping Josh. But in addition to that, you can have access to the Bro Hang, which is a patron exclusive podcast. It tends to be a lot more stream of consciousness. Sometimes we talk politics. Sometimes we talk about video game related stuff. Sometimes we just tell funny stories and make each other laugh until we cry. Uh, yeah, it's just it's a grab bag, and it's kind of whatever. But you also ugh, as a patron, you get early and uncut access to each and every episode. There's a video feed that you get exclusive access to, and you get a special role in our Discord server with a channel that only our patrons can access. In addition, so what you've got all of that, but it doesn't, but there's more.
Hey.
Yeah, there's more. Each of our patrons throughout the course of a year can nominate a topic or a game for us to do an episode, and they can join us on that game or on that episode. So if any of that appeals to you, we'd love to have you maybe check that out. We love those guys, and we yeah, yeah, I don't know where I was going from that. Last but not least, you're gonna have to edit that out in post, Josh.
Yeah, I got it.
La- Last but not least, let's just sort of like let's make no bones about it. We have developed some interesting friends over the years, and
Mm.
we are proud to partner with a few of them in particular. And it doesn't mean that we like other people less or other podcasts less, but these are our favorites and by a lot. We are proud members of the Playwell Network alongside our friend Paul, the artist currently known as the Techno Funk Boy. He does The Thorns of War, which is an actual play podcast set in the Dragonlance realm.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, Wesley Ray, the Henshin Dad himself, is the host of his most current project is Retronym, which is it's kind of nostalgia, short form content for the most part. He does a lot of he talks a lot about Pokemon and Pokemon. He does tier
Mm-hmm.
lists with Pokemon, um, and he can be pretty petty, and he just he has no shame when it comes to just being like, no, that Pokemon's hideous, and
Mm-hmm.
should be subjected to some awful fate.
Mm-hmm.
And last but certainly not least is our buddy, the Wonder from Down Under, Porcho, just with Nothing New Under the Porch. And essentially, the way that I've come to sort of think about Nothing New Under the Porch is that, and he has done some deviations, like we mentioned last full episode, the horrific uh, conversation that he and Wes had about like which Pokemon would you eat, which was just left me just I'm still a little traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
But it's essentially like if Hard Drive loved Jesus, or if the Babylon Bee talked a lot more about video games
Mm-hmm.
with exponentially more bad accents. Um, but yeah, we love those guys. We love what they're doing, and we think you ought to check their stuff out because you might like it, maybe even love it as well.
Mm.
With and I think now's a good time for a word from one of them.
Word to
Word.
your mother.